Good morning, children. Sairam. Children, today I am again going to continue with the same chapter of our book, Indian Economic Development, that is chapter number 10, and the name of the chapter is Employment and Unemployment. Children, this is the second video of this chapter, and in the previous video, we have already learned some basic concepts of employment and unemployment. We do have learned the size of workforce in India, the rate of participation in India, self employed and hired workers, occupational structure, jobless growth, casualization and informalization of workforce. These all topics we have already discussed in the previous chapter. Now, in today's video, we are going to learn the various kinds of unemployment. I mean, what is the rural and urban unemployment? So, let us start with the first topic, that is rural and urban unemployment. Children, now the first topic as we have is the rural and the urban unemployment. So, children, before we understand, let us learn first the meaning of unemployment. Children, unemployment problem is one of the most serious problems which is normally found in each and every country of the world, irrespective of its economic development. Children, according to NSSO, unemployment is a situation in which all those who are owing to lack of work are not working but either seeks work through employment exchanges, intermediaries, friends or relatives, or by making application to the prospective employers, or express their willingness or availability for work under the prevailing conditions of work and remuneration. So, this is the definition which is given by the NSSO, and in short, I could say that unemployment refers to a situation in which a people who are willing and able to work at an existing wage rate but do not get work is known as unemployment. So, unemployment is confined not only to an unskilled workers, rather than a sizable number of skilled workers fail to get jobs for a long period. So, children, unemployment is categorized into the two broad categories. The first one is your urban and rural unemployment. So, children, in rural unemployment, we do have two further classifications. That the first one is disguised unemployment, and the second is the seasonal unemployment. Whereas in urban unemployment, it is again classified into two categories. The first one is your industrial unemployment, and the second one is educated unemployment. So, children, let us learn all this kind of unemployment in very details. Now, the first one is rural unemployment. Children, rural unemployment is basically dominated by the disguised unemployment and seasonal unemployment. The details, or you can say both this unemployments are is under. Children, first one is disguised unemployment. Children, disguised unemployment refers to a state in which more people are engaged in work rather than really needed. Disguised unemployment occurs when the number of workers engaged in a job is much more than the actually required to accomplish it. So, if some of them are basically been withdrawn from that particular job, then the total production will not fall. So, this is called a disguised unemployment. Children, for example, if two workers are engaged on a piece of land and five workers are engaged, I mean, if two workers are basically needed on a piece of land but the five workers are engaged on the same job, then we can say that the three workers are suffered with disguised unemployment. Now, the second one is your seasonal unemployment. What is seasonal unemployment, children? Children, seasonal unemployment occurs at certain regions of a year is known as a seasonal unemployment. Children, as we all know, in India, a seasonal unemployment is predominantly associated with agriculture. In agriculture, work is seasonal and there are no employment opportunities in the village for all months in a year. We can see that farmers cannot uh, plugging the field for throughout the year. He used to plug the field for a particular time, and for the rest of the time he has to wait till the crop get harvested and it comes on a maturity level. So in between of plugging to harvesting period, the farmers are left employed, and in this way we can say that a farmer is unemployed and is been suffering from a seasonal unemployment. So we can say that a seasonal unemployment can be another kind of rural unemployment, and it occurs simply because the agriculture is an essential occupation. So it is estimated that a farmer who grows one crop in a year usually remains unemployed for let's say 5 to 7 months. So in rural areas, besides the agriculture, there are many other seasonal activities like the sugar cane crushing, brick kilns, etc. Workers engaged in this kind of activities remain employed for a few months in a year, and rest of the period they will remain unemployed. Now we are going to study what is an urban unemployment. Children, in urban areas, we can see that the unemployed peoples are often registered with employment exchange. So, urban unemployment is more like an open unemployment, like unlike discussed unemployment in the rural areas. Children, now what is an open unemployment? Children, open unemployment refers to that economic phenomenon in which people are able and willing to work at an existing or you can say the prevailing wage rate but fail to get work. So it is called as open unemployment because such unemployment can be seen and counted in the number of unemployed people, and open unemployment is basically different from a disguised unemployment. So you can say an urban unemployment is further classified into the two broad categories. Like the first one is your industrial unemployment. What is an industrial unemployment? Children, in industrial unemployment refers to the unemployment among the illiterate who wish to work in industrial establishments. So, I mean, children, it includes those illiterate persons who are willing to work in industries, mining, transport, trade, and construction activities. And the principal causes of industrial unemployment are as under: first, rapid rise in the population over time. Children, you can see that if there is a rise in the population, which for the frequent few years, and then it leads to a rise in the supply of a labor, because if the population increases, then definitely the supply of labor also increases. So children, with the increase in the size of the urban population and the migration of populations from the rural to the urban industrial areas, the industrial unemployment is gradually becoming acute. So, the slow pace of industrialization is unable to generate the sufficient employment opportunities, and as a result, there is a huge industrial unemployment in the country. Now, the second one is an educated unemployment. What is an educated unemployment? Children, educated unemployment refers to the unemployment among the educated people. The rapid expansion of general education in the country has increased the educated people in the country. And however, due to the slow growth of technical and the vocational education facilities, a huge number of manpower is unnecessarily diverted through the general education. So it has led to a speculative educated unemployment problem in the country. And in a country like India, the problem of unemployment among the educated people is also quite grave. So it is basically a problem which is spread across all the parts of the country and poses a serious threat to the social peace and harmony. Now, we are going to learn some common types of unemployment across the rural and the urban areas. Now, in this particular topic, the first one is open unemployment. What is an open employment? Children, open unemployment occurs when a person who is willing to work and has the necessary ability to work, yet he does not get work, so he remains unemployed for full time and he is totally dependent on the other members of a family. So, this kind of unemployment is usually found among the agricultural laborers, the educated people, and all those who comes from who comes from the villages to the urban areas in search of job but fail to get any kind of work. Now, the second one is the structural unemployment. Children, structural unemployment refers to the unemployment in which the peoples remain unemployed due to mismatch between unemployed persons and the demand for the specific type of workers. We can see that it is associated with the structural changes in the economy, and the unemployed workers lack skills and training which is required by the developing industries. For example, children, due to the computerization, you can see that the workers who do not possess enough knowledge of computers will be you can say left unemployed until they do some computer course or training. So this can be called as the structural unemployment. So, children, structural unemployment occurs. It's basically of the two types, where if there is a change in the technology, which is as a result of which the old technocrats are no longer needed. I mean, if there is a modernization or there is a structural changes in the production of a company, then the peoples who do the labor work will be left employed, and on behalf of them, the person who know the computers can be employed. So just because of the technology changes, a person will be left and unemployed. Second is if there is a change in the pattern of the demand, and if there is a change in the pattern of their demand, then because of this some industries are closely down and the workers are basically thrown out. So less developed country like India encounters the significant structural changes in the process of growth, and on behalf of that a very high degree of the structural unemployment exists both in the rural areas and also in the urban areas. Now the next topic is under unemployment. Children, under unemployment is a situation in which a worker does not get work for a full time. He remains unemployed for some months in a year or some hours every day. Suppose if we are working part time, then we used to work only for a limited point of time. So, as we all know, the working hours for a person will be considered as 8 to 9 hours in a day, and if a person is working less hours in that, then this will be called as a person it will be called as a person who is suffering with an underemployment, because he is working not for the entire day but is working for a limited point of time, or you can say a part time. Children, underemployment is further classified into the two broad categories. The first one is a visible unemployment, and the second one is an invisible unemployment, which we call as disguised unemployment. So, children, visible unemployment, in this case, the people works lesser than the standard hours of work in a day. For example, in India, as I just explained, a person's normally work is for 8 hours, but if he's find a job only for 4 hours a day, or he used to work only for 4 hours in a day, then he will be deemed as a person suffering with a visible unemployment. Now, the second one is invisible underemployment. Children, in this case, the people works full time, but their income is not proportionate to their abilities. Like if an MBA degree holder person has been working as a peon, then he will be called as invisible unemployed persons, because his capacity to work is far more than still he is getting a job. So his capacity to working is more than what he is getting a job. So in that way we can say that he is suffering with an invisible underemployment. Now, the next one is a frictional unemployment. Children, frictional unemployment refers to, you can say, the temporary unemployment which exists due to during the period wherein a worker left a job. If wherein a person leaves one job and joins some another. So it occurs due to imperfections in the mortality of laborers across the different occupations. One wishes to move from one job to another, but in the process of changes, it will remain unemployed for some times. For example, due to you can say we can say that with the introduction of the new machineries, the nationalization in the production process, or the breakdown of plant may also led to the frictional unemployment. We can see that working ladies who is getting married may decide to remain out of job for a couple of weeks or months. So this is called a frictional unemployment. Now the next one is a cyclic unemployment. Children, cyclic unemployment is associated with the down savings and depression phases of business cycle. It occurs owing to cyclical fluctuation in an economy. The phases of boom, recession, depressions, and the recovery are the typical, you can say, the characteristics of the market economy. Boom relates to a high level of economic activity and accordingly a high degree of unemployment. But if there is a recession, then it is a phase where there is a liquid crunch in the economy. The funds or the loans are not easily available, and because of which there is a slowdown in the production and a cut down in the employment opportunities. Now we are going to learn, children, the various causes of unemployment in India. We are going to learn what are the basic causes of unemployment in a country. So, children, the main causes of unemployment in a country are as follows. The first one is low economic growth. Children, the actual growth rate always lies far below the rate targeted in the 5 decades of planning. As we all know, we have already started a 5 year plan since April 1951. Since then, the actual growth rate always lies far below the rate targeted. So, employment opportunities created under the plans could not keep pace with the addition to the labor force. And you can say that the Indian economy is basically an underdeveloped economy, and the pace of growth is also very low. and low growth rate fails to generate the enough employment opportunities for the rising labor force, and this is first and the most important causes of unemployment in a country. Now the second one is rapid, you can say, growth of population. Children, the rapid rate of population growth has been another causes of increasing unemployment in the country. It has not been possible to generate so many employment opportunities to absorb the large growing labor force, and that is why it is one of the principal factors of contributing to unemployment. And despite of the completion of the 13th five-year plans, children, the size of unemployment was continued to scale up. Now the number third is the agricultural, a seasonal occupation. So, children, agriculture is an underdeveloped in India, as I just explained, and also offers the seasonal employment. No doubt, it is an important occupation for our country, and a large size of our country's populations depends upon it. But its seasonal characters does not provide the stable jobs to the farmers throughout the year. Now, the next one is lack of irrigation facilities. Children, despite the decades of planning, the irrigation facilities continues to be scant, covering only about 44% of agricultural area. And for warning of irrigations, monocropping becomes a compulsion. So, in the absence of the multi-cropping, opportunities of employment remain limited. Now the last reason is causes is the joint family system. Children, the joint family system encourages the disgust and employment. As we all know, in joint families there is a high tendency to survive on a joint income without work. So the joint family system is more prevalent in the rural areas, and hence a large, you can say, a high degree of disgust and employment we can find in this kind of families. So we can say that this is yet another causes of unemployment in a country. Now we are going to learn some of the social and the economic consequences of unemployment. The high unemployment leads to a serious, you can say, economic and the social consequences, which have been described as follows. The first one is your economic consequences. So following are some of the important economic consequences of the unemployment. The first one is non-utilization of manpower. So, children, to the extent people are unemployed and manpower resources of the country are not utilized, it amounts to a social wastage. I mean, we are not utilizing the working strength, the manpower of our country, and that is why this is yet one of the economic consequences of unemployment. Now, the next one is loss of output. Children, there is a lot of output to the extent like the manpower resources are not utilized. The unemployed persons make no contributions to the output, even they have the potential to do. So, like if an unemployed peoples are not contributing in any kind of work, that is why our GDP remains less, and on behalf of it, the contributions to the total output or total productions remains less as what we have the potential to do so. Now, the next one is low capital formation. Children, low rate of capital formation has hampered the growth, you can say, the potential in the agriculture as well as in the industrial sectors, and consequently, children, the job creation capacities of both the sector has been affected adversely. Now we are going to learn the social consequences. First is low quality of life. Children, unemployment lowers the quality of life, implying a state of perpetual suffering. As we all know, if a persons are left employed, then he do not have his sources of earning, and if he does not have any proper sources of earnings, then he will left unemployed. He will be left dependent on some other peoples. Now the next one is the greater inequality. Next one we have is the greater inequality. Children, higher the degree of unemployment, greater is the extent of inequality in the distribution of income and wealth, as we all know. In that situation, a person has to be dependent on others, which shows that the growth does not occur with the social justice. And then the social unrest, the you can say disruption, the less the terrorism may also be may be motivated by the several other factors, but the contribution of self desperation is by no means less significant. Now there are some of the suggestions why how we can solve the problem of unemployment. So children, these are some of the important suggestions by which we can solve the problem of an unemployment in a country. The first one is increase in production. So children, if we increase the employment, it is very essential to increase the production in agriculture and industrial sectors. So development of the small and the cottage industry should be encouraged. Now the next is increase in productivity. Children, if we increase the productivity, then definitely we need more people. So we need more workers to be work perfectly, and on behalf of this, the unemployment can be eradicated. So the demand for labor is directly related to the productivity of the labor. Higher productivity generates the higher profits and therefore greater demands for the laborers. So accordingly, if the productivity enhances, then the need of the labor must improve. The next is high rate of capital formation. Children, the rate of capital formation in a country should be increased, and you can see if the investment may be directed to some areas of the production where the employment potentials is very high, then we can say that we can say that then along with the increase in the rate of the capital formation, there should be decrease in the capital output ratio. Next is help to self-employed persons. More if the unemployment is more in a country, then we need to do give more you can say motivations to the people to do the self employment. So in that way, around 52.2% of the people in India are basically a self employed, and most of them are engaged in the agriculture. So, besides, there are many persons also, the many populations also were engaged in the trade, cottage, and other industries, the building, construction, restaurant, transport, etc. And government should provide the facilities like the irrigation, better seeds, manure, implements, credit, etc. to make small and marginal farmers. So, self employed persons in urban areas should be given facilities of credit, marketing, the raw material, technical training, and the like. Next is the educational reforms. The technique of production should be also be enhanced. These are the various suggestions which can be took into the various consideration to remove the unemployment in a country. At last, we can see that we need to make India skilled in the various curricular activities. For doing so, the government has initiated the Skill India or Make in India or various startups so that the unemployment can be betterly removed. So there are some recently launched campaigns by the government in India to generate the opportunities of the employment for an unemployed people, and these campaigns are yet to is yet to actualize in the models of the growth and development. However, uh, these schemes becomes operational. The Indian economy will generate the abundance of opportunities of of employment, particularly through the self-employment. So these are the various campaigns which have been recently launched by the government, and the basic objectives of launching this kind of campaign is to generate the various employment opportunities to the employed people. So, children, at last we can say in today's video, we have already learned what is the rural and the urban unemployment. We do have learned their various classifications, like what is the disguised unemployment, the seasonal unemployment, and the rural unemployed employment. We do have learned the industrial unemployment and the educated unemployment in the urban areas, and a part of it we have also learned some basic or some general kinds of unemployment like frictional or structural cyclic unemployment. We do have learned the causes and the various suggestions by which we can take into the consideration of removing the unemployment from our country. So I hope in today's video I have already clear all these points, and if there is any things which is not clear to us, then you can call me up so that I can solve your queries better. So children, thank you so much for watching and have a nice day, and Sai Ram.